Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is just a girl in a Barbie world. She's one of the shining lights of British wrestling right now. Please welcome Kiya. How you doing today? You all good?
I'm doing great. I've never been announced like that before. That's
Good.
amazing. I
We
love
was
that.
actually talking about like the announcing, and I think I've just said the name wrong, haven't
Mm,
I?
Kaya.
Oh, I did say it
I
right.
wasn't really
Yeah,
listening. You did say it right, yeah.
wait, thank God. So we let's talk about like mispronouncing it, and I just thought, did I mispronounce it? Because I'm a bit thick. But yeah, no, I'm glad that I gave you a good instruction. I know like you come out to No Doubt's banging song, by the way.
Amazing. I love it.
Why did you choose the song, by the way? I know I normally rewind the clocks and
Oh,
talk about wrestling, but I do like No Doubt, so I'm just gonna ask you
mm.
quickly.
Um, so it's actually like I think it was the day before I debuted for like this because we'd just done like a one of them week long seminar things.
Hmm.
And it was like the day before I debuted and me and my dad were sat in his living room and he was like, "You need entrance music." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he was like, "What do you want?" And then we were sat there for like an hour going through different songs. And then he went to the toilet, and my dad's one of them men that spends like half an hour in the toilets, right? So then I get
I'm not
I
gonna
get a
comment.
text from him. Yeah, I get a text from him
It's
whilst
more
he's
common than
on
you
the
think.
toilet, and he's like, "Oh my god, I found it," and I'm like, "All right." And he's like, "I'll show you after." So I'm there waiting for like another 10, 15 minutes. Like, what is this song he's chosen? And then he comes out the toilet and he's playing it. And I was like, all right, then fair enough, that works.
There's a banger. I don't think I've heard anyone come out of that, and actually anyone had their theme song
Mm.
come up. Light bulb moment, flash first. Here we go. Just a girl, no doubt, with your old man in the in the toilet.
Yeah, like, and then I think literally that night we found the music. He sent it off to the guy who was doing like all the media stuff at the time. I don't know whether he's still doing the media stuff for them or not, but like sent it off to him.
Mhm.
And that night he made a video for it as well. And
Oh,
I was like,
nice.
all right then.
Oh, wow. Proper
I'm
prepared
sorted
then for
then.
your debut. Some people like takes months and they go through like different songs at each
Yeah,
shows, but this song has kind of stuck with you, hasn't it, and stayed with you for the last few years.
yeah, yeah. Like I was going to change it at one point because I was like, oh my god, I'm so sick of this song.
Yeah.
But then I was like, nothing else really works.
What other songs,
Like,
by the way? You know, when you was like searching for the right theme song,
mm,
what other songs did like pop into your head and you thought, okay, maybe, or I'm unsure, or we'll come back to that?
it was just, I think it was mostly just like a lot of Britney Spears, um, like, like that kind of era.
Yeah.
There was like a couple of Spice Girls songs in there, Girls Aloud, like all that kind of vibe. And then we just landed on that somehow.
Of all those songs,
But,
by the way, just before I rewind the clocks and find out how you got
mm,
into wrestling in the first place and your debut, you'll be very surprised with the male audience knowing all the fucking words to Spice Girls and Girls Aloud.
I love that.
Not to say that I'm part of the audience. I am. I'm a sucker
Oh,
for it.
I love that.
Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hi, I'm Steph Delander, and I'll be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah, I heard. So before you came up with your theme song, before you became a pro
Mm.
wrestler, I want to rewind the clocks and discover what got you into wrestling in the first place.
Oh God. So genuine. So I'm 20 years old, right?
Hmm.
And my dad was wrestling over 20 years ago. I don't know how long he's been wrestling,
Oh, nice. You're second
honestly.
generation.
Yeah, second generation.
I did
So,
not know this. I need to do better research.
oh, it's fine. But yeah, so he was wrestling a bit before I was born. I don't know how much longer. And he was doing all the yarding, whatever,
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. And then, oh God, I can't remember what year they opened the training school. I feel really bad. I'm not doing my family justice right now, but yeah. So
Is
they
it the
ended
Fight
up with a
Factory
training
you're
school.
referring to?
Yeah, Fight Factory.
I'm gonna find that for you. One second, while you're just because I feel like you
Mm,
feel bad for not knowing.
yeah, I do feel really bad. Um,
Training
but
school.
yeah, so they opened that. ended up with that, and I was like, and I was like a proper child at that point, so I'd just randomly join in, mess around. I'd have like we had like a boxing ring at first, so I was a child getting
Yeah.
slammed around and bumping in this boxing ring, which is better than like a lot of people had. I will happily put my hands up and say I was quite privileged starting, but it still
Crazy.
sucked.
Not unheard of in British wrestling. Not
Mm,
saying like loads of people do it, but it's kind of a British thing, isn't it? It's
yeah,
you
and
brought in like from pretty much since you can kind of crawl and walk. It's like yeah, get in the ring, yeah, take a bump.
yeah, like I was dead young, like primary school, early secondary school, going to like ring hires with my dad and stuff, and meeting all these people,
Yeah,
and yeah, I just somehow it just came about, and then when I was about, I don't know, I genuinely couldn't tell you how old I was. This is really bad, but then eventually I started training more and more with them, and I'd see my dad every other weekend, so I was training pretty much every other weekend, and then in summer
yeah.
I'd get to stay longer and train every session they had during the week. And yeah, then I ended up debuting, and I was like, all right then, this has happened.
Well, I'm here now. But it
Yeah,
allowed you to create that bond though, which is really sweet. Like there's actually a sweet story
yeah,
to this and spending time with your dad, who's, been doing this for quite a long time, said what, 20 years. What was
yeah.
your first memory of your dad actually wrestling? So you not necessarily been
Oh God,
training or in the business where you are now, but just when you first saw him or kind of a few times, you'd be like, holy shit, this is what my dad does. Like he's in the ring,
yeah.
they're cheering him, they're booing him.
So this was I can't remember how many years ago. This was
Mhm.
like quite a bit ago, but he was training and working for like, oh God, was it GWA in Grimsby? I think it was.
Company name, it rings a bell. It does ring a bell.
Yeah,
Can't picture like a
and
logo, but
yeah, he was there, and oh God, he was either in like a team, like a tag team, like two of them or three of them. I can't remember exactly,
Mhm.
but it was him. I know the main two were him and his friend Mikey, who doesn't wrestle anymore, but like, and they were basically like kind of like the shield kind of this company.
Yeah,
And yeah, I just remember I think he was a heel. I remember him getting booed and that he was in all black and he just beat people up for a bit.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's my dad beating people up.
Did you boo or did you cheer, if you remember?
I can't remember. I think I was just like, why's my dad beating people up? And
Imagine you
even
going
though
to
I'd
school next day,
grown
my
up,
dad beats people up. Like, you got to have a word.
I know. I've grown up around this, and like
Yeah,
you'd think I would have seen enough of like them training and them all being friends and stuff to realize like not
yeah.
all completely real guys. But I was like, oh my God, my dad is a horrible person.
He
My
did his
dad's the
job then.
worst.
He even convinced
Yeah,
his own daughter that he was a
I
hero and
know.
beat someone up. So I applaud him for that. Oh, the rest of school, by the way, 2013 is what Google says.
2013. Oh my God.
Established. So it's been around for
That does sound about right, to be fair.
so
Thinking
yeah,
about it.
it's yeah. If anyone is interested in Lincolnshire, but
Mhm.
we'll do the promotion and the plugging at the end. So when you were inspired to become a pro wrestler and you would
Mhm.
eventually get in the ring yourself more on a permanent basis and doing it more, frequently, how did you feel because you were a second generation wrestler? Did you feel like you had that kind of advantage or were they extra hard on you?
Um, so when I did start like taking it more and more seriously,
Yeah,
my dad was always like, "We're not gonna go easy on you, just because like you're my daughter and stuff. We're not gonna spoon feed you."
yeah,
And he'd he always said like, "Oh well, if I'm gonna do it to this person, you're gonna get exactly the same treatment. There's
yeah,
no special treatment." And there was some times where he would like, not in like a horrible way. My dad's not that horrible of a person. That horrible of a person. That's awful. My dad's not an horrible person,
I think so.
but like he was like, so he'd hammer it in more if that makes sense
Yeah,
because being around it my whole life, I should know this. And like he was always like, when you do eventually start working with the places, like quite a lot of the people at the time knew who he was.
yeah,
and like all his mates and stuff, and they were like, they're gonna expect you to be at least good. And I was like, oh my god. And like it was constantly hammered in, like, you're gonna have to work harder than everyone. You're never gonna get booked if
Oh yeah,
like
definitely. You've
you're
got to
you're
prove that point.
rubbish.
Like
And I
it's
was
not
like,
nepotism. Like you're not there just because of like, his last name and
yeah,
what he's achieved in wrestling. You're there because you love it yourself and you want to break out on your own, which you are doing currently.
thank God. Like I never wanted to like ride the family train, and like thankfully I feel like I've not detached myself because we all have like the same logo on our gear and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I feel like I've separated myself enough that I have like got my own thing going on, but it's the still part of the family, if that makes sense.
No, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Still, still
Yeah,
represent each other, but you are you're an individual now. You do what you
yeah.
do, and they do what they do. I haven't actually asked, who is your dad?
Oh, my dad's. Oh, what's he going by now? He used to go by Dutch, and now I think he just goes by Hayden Dutch.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm not quite sure. He's announced as like different things, and like his Facebook says something, and his Instagram says another thing, and I'm like, okay.
he's just dad.
But yeah, he's just dad to me.
No, that's cool.
Sometimes,
Oh no,
sometimes I'm
sorry,
like, oh, it's Hayden. But
I just feel really bad for not knowing that you're actually second generation wrestler. I feel really bad now. I'm like, so sorry. But that's what made this conversation fun. I just didn't know. I learned something, and you got to kind of tell me the family history, which is awesome.
yeah,
So when you would break out on your own
God.
and you would train, when is it that you made your in-ring debut, your first ever match? I know like you've been doing it for quite a while, but your first in-ring match, with the crowd.
Oh God. So it was just before COVID.
Hmm.
Um, like late 2019, I think it was. Um, my first like proper show. Like I did like dark matches and stuff before, but who really counts them? Because like they're like
No, I get that. I get that.
I can't remember exactly then, but like I just saw that as like an extra bit of training with like a little bit of a crowd there. But my first like actual match was on a charity show that
The tag
I
team match.
planned. No, it was a singles match with me and Laurie.
Oh, okay.
Laurie, yeah. It was a charity show that I booked and sorted and whatever.
Really?
Yeah,
So you would have
it sounds
been
really
what, like
bad, like
15 or
booking
16 at the
myself.
time, booking
I
a
was,
charity show.
yeah, I was in year 11
That's
at the
mental.
time. Yeah, because our year 11, like a group of us, were going to Nepal to do some
Yeah.
like charity work over there. So we had to raise money, and I was like, I'll just do a wrestling show. Right. And then I think I raised all my money
It's like in
in
between,
one
like,
night.
studying for like GCSE. It's just like, okay, he's going over
Yeah.
tonight.
Thankfully, I had a lot of help because, like, if I didn't,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
would have had there would have been some weird matches on there. I would have been like, no, because why can't we get John Cena here, guys? Let's get John Cena down to Mansfield. We'll make this work.
He's here. Do you get it? Can't see me. Yeah. No
Yeah.
false advertising. I don't think that.
I had a bunch of my teachers on that show as well. Like, my match finished, and then a bunch of my teachers came out post match,
Oh, no.
and they were like interrupting. They were like talking on the mic and
Yeah.
stuff. They took a couple of training sessions before to learn how to bump and like hit people, and then they came out, attacked my dad and my uncle. They didn't attack me because apparently it looked bad on the school or something. But then we all retaliated.
It's fine. It's for charity. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a mental thing. Like I should remember it more than I do, but there was these random bits that I remember, and I was
Yeah.
like, my days.
That is mental, though. Like, whilst you're like in your last year of school, just like
Yeah,
preparing your own show for wrestling. Just, I've seen promoters who've been doing it for years, and I'm not going to name names, but they're not very good, and they've been doing it for years. So for you to
yeah.
achieve that, that's massive respect. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hi there, I'm Sarah, aka China Syndrome, and I'll be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard.
Me, Rothrock, and Leah Hart, Amelia Hart. I can't remember what she went by at that point. I think.
Yeah, yes, and it's
Yeah.
6 man. It's a 6 man, isn't it? Not.
Yeah.
That's it. Sorry, not a tag team. It's a 6 man, still mixed. Yes.
Still mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember when that was, you know. I feel really bad, but like I remember that was one of my early matches, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Things with
I was
guys.
really proud of that at the time. And
Yeah.
looking back, I'm like, I did nothing except take some heat at that point.
It's a fun match. But that's awesome that you got to do that and you kind of organize it yourself. The school itself, I want to know about the actual training. What would it be like? How long would it be for? How long did you find that you kind of got your groove and like, did you find yourself aching? Was there like difficulties with anything like promos or skills or, just repetition and stuff?
Oh, promos.
Really?
I suck at promos. I still do. I I can't. And like every time I think about doing one, I'm like, I'm feel a bit sick. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and even then, I can do like a little, you're not very good, and I can be funny without a microphone. Do you know what I mean? But as soon as you give me a microphone, I'm like, it's not happening.
Really? Have you found
Yeah.
watching anyone kind of influence you like with promos? So like, okay, I might try and take a little bit of that or a little bit of this, or is it just a case of just waiting for it to come natural to you?
So I'll try and like watch just anything that I can for
Mhm.
promos and literally anyone at this point. But I don't know. Like I feel like even when I was younger, right? Me and my dad used to sit and watch like TNA or like
Mm.
Raw or whatever was happening at that point, and they'd start talking and doing their promos and stuff, and I'd start crying. And I'd be like, Dad, why aren't they wrestling? Why are they talking?
Oh my God.
I want to see the wrestling. And he'd be like, no, no, they're going to start wrestling in a bit. And I was like, no, I can't deal with it. They need to start fighting. Why aren't they fighting? But I've just promos and me have just never got along,
Yeah.
even when I was like, what, 6? Not happening.
Oh, bless you. I hope it does come.
Part of me's like,
Have you ever done promos?
part of me's like, you know what?
You're just like, that way, I'll do what I'm good at,
Mm,
then I will get the promos down eventually. Do you
mm,
ever do promos like in your room
yeah,
and
I've
stuff?
done.
Like
Oh, I've tried.
this
Like I
Saturday.
used.
I...
I've tried to. I've got like I've got like my big mirror, like
Yeah.
where I do my makeup and stuff, and I'll be doing my makeup, and I'm like, and I'll like try, and I'm like, no, but I make myself feel physically ill.
Bloody hell.
It's not
I gotta,
good. It's not good.
it will go away. Just like AJ Styles is a good example.
Mm,
Was never good at promos until
mm,
probably about like, I don't know, 15 years into his own career. So it's plenty of time. And this
mm.
was like when he was nearly 40. So
Thank God.
there's no rush. There's no rush. You'll be fine. Trust. I
Oh,
was
thank
just
God.
gonna ask about some of your own personal highlights. Like I know you've been like in the ring with like Lizzie Evo, Nina
Yeah.
Samuels, Harley Hudson, I see. Some really
Oh,
big
I
names and
love
new
Harley
faces.
Hudson.
Congratulations to her, by the way, with winning gut check.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna miss her so much. I genuinely Harley Hudson. She's when I did my first outside show, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think she was on like after me because I was in a 4 person, I think it was.
Fatal four way.
But yeah, she was on yeah,
God, I'm a nerd.
and then she was on a bit after me, and I was watching her, and like
Mhm.
even then I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. And then I think we wrestled each other for the first time at Wrestle Island, and I was like, oh my God, like I was like, we're similar age, like she's a bit older than me, but I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God. I was like inside, I was like, oh my God, don't freak out, Kaya, don't freak out.
So
But
you was
now,
actually a
like,
fan going into it, but then you probably became a friend
yeah,
after it.
yeah, oh, I love her so much. Like, every time I see her, like, I'll like walk in and I see her, and then like both of our faces light up, and she's like, oh my God, gorgeous, hi. And I'm like, oh my God, hi. Honestly, I don't know what I'll do, not like going to shows and just not seeing her.
She won't be like in the UK as much, but I'm glad that
Mm,
she's still representing the UK if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Her and
Yeah.
Leon
Oh
Slater are
God.
like just phenomenal talent, but
Mm.
there's more talent out there in the UK to be seen as well. And TNA giving people like that the opportunity, you know, I think Wrestle Island puts on great shows and showcases talent, you know, I've had on here, and for you to be a part of it as well, I can imagine that being awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I'm gonna ask you, so predominantly wrestled in the north. Is there any plans to expand and go down the south or even outside of England, the UK, or just maybe Europe?
I mean, I would like to wrestle down south a bit more, like at least get that in my bank because like I've done
Yeah.
a bit up north, done a bit in the Midlands. Like down south isn't out the question. Like I do get very sleepy very quickly when traveling.
Mhm.
I feel like that's my downfall, to be fair. So like maybe though, but then when I was younger, the goal was always like to at least go over to Europe and like go to Holland because I've got family over there
Oh,
and
nice.
like wrestling in front of them, that would be great.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not gonna like be like, oh, this isn't the goal, this isn't the goal. Like as long as I can wrestle in England and one show in Holland, I'm pretty set,
All right.
honestly. Which isn't much compared to like all these people that are like, oh, I want to go to Japan, I want to go to the States and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like
Everyone's
I
got
like to
different
keep
goals,
my
though.
goal.
There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong
exactly.
with that at all.
Like as long as I keep my goals small and then like anything above that I see as like a bonus
Mm.
because I don't know, like getting to be around my family, that was
Mm.
always the thing for me in wrestling. And then once I've done it in front of my whole family, I'm sorted. I'm fine. I've achieved everything that I want to do.
Really? Can
Yeah.
you see yourself retiring before 25, maybe, just or like an early age?
Oh God, I wish. I'd love to retire. Not in a bad way. I love wrestling. I love it so
Yeah.
much. But you know, sometimes like midweek, I'll I'll have done like a big weekend or whatever, and then it'll be Monday, and I'll be going to like a 9 a.m. lecture, and I'm just like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, chicken.
Yeah.
But no, like I don't think so. Like my dad said he's going to retire every year for the past 5 years, and he still hasn't.
Never gonna retire.
So honestly, like as long as I retire after him, it's fine.
No, you're not retiring anytime soon.
I'm
When
not
someone tries
retiring
to
anytime
retire
soon.
at a certain date or a certain time, it's not gonna happen.
I know. I've seen it so much that I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody's retiring ever.
Ric Flair is just a
Everyone's
prime
going.
example. Like, retired
Exactly.
2008, wrestled again. Wrestled last year, and it was beyond embarrassing, but that was like 80-year-old man
Mm.
wrestling. But yeah, I'm still upset about watching the thing. But yeah, it's cool that you kind of, okay, I've done that rest of my family, Europe, maybe South, but you're kind of
Mm.
grounded, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
actually respect that.
Like, obviously, like, I feel like everyone's goal would be like get signed to somewhere.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm like, yeah, that would be nice. Like, I'm not gonna turn it away and be like, oh no,
Mm.
thank you. No thank you contracts, no thank you. But like like it's not like my primary goal.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to set my expectations too high and then be like, oh God, didn't get anything. You know, like I don't know.
I
It's
reckon you'll change your
a
tune.
bit weird.
So, like, you got the talent, you got a fan base already,
Mm,
you've been doing it for so long already. And then
yeah.
you might just get to a certain point where, you know, they'll be knocking on your
Mm,
door and then there's some
yeah.
paperwork.
When I was younger, like younger, before
Mhm.
I like debuted and stuff, I turned around to my dad and I was like, I want to go to Japan. Like I was like 12 and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Japan. As soon as I turn 18, I'm gonna go to Japan. I haven't been to Japan. Um I watched that one documentary about the women's dojo. I can't remember what it's called. And I was like,
No, I heard about it. I'm gonna have to Google this one.
yeah, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
thank you. I got shown that pretty quickly. Like
Oh, okay.
apparently it's better. It's
Yeah.
better now, thankfully.
Oh,
But
okay.
I
Yeah.
saw I saw that one and then like I was like, oh God, maybe I don't want to go to Japan. I like 12-year-old me was having some sort of crisis about
You
where I was
sounded
going
like
to
a massive
wrestle.
wrestling fan, by the way, wrestling purist. You're like watching TNA Raw. You'd be crying because they were talking and no wrestling. You're just like, what wrestling for fuck's sake? 5 stars. Stars.
I feel like that just defines me, like my whole wrestling though. Like talking, don't do a lot of. I'll
Yeah.
make little comments, but like I learned that from my dad. Like me and my dad are both horrible
Yeah.
to wrestle with. Like we'll pop each other all day. We'd do the camps and we'd be talking to each other throughout the entire match, being like, oh no, you're shit, you're shit. Just really stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like, but then like it's literally just wrestling because I've always just been like wrestling. They'd be talking, I'd be like, no. There'd be certain entrances I'd watch, but sometimes I would get bored,
Yeah.
which is really bad.
Get the entrance. Wrestling. Just...
skip the entrance unless it was really cool. Like, I mean, to be fair, some of the WrestleMania entrances I would get really bored in
Yeah.
because they were dead long. But if they were really, really cool, I'd be like, oh my god, this is amazing. Anything below like up here, I was like, thanks. Skip to the wrestling.
Actually, you're a wrestling purist. Like, there's things I'm learning today. That's why I've been a good guest. Yeah, it's been quite a fun interview so far. Just not to say, I think like I'm just a girl. You come out the entrance and like seeing your merch and seeing your matches and just learn like, yes, I want to wrestle. Just want to fucking wrestle.
Yeah,
I don't care what I do.
just wrestle. Like if I didn't have to do all the character stuff and be
Yeah.
like all whatever, I would just walk, wrestle, walk out. That's all I'd watch when I was younger, and that in my head I was like, I could get away with that.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to get away with that, but
that's sick.
no.
Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hello, I am Zaya Brookside and I will be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah, heard. Is there anyone out there at the moment that, okay, I like to wrestle them that you haven't wrestled yet? And it can even be, I'm not talking about like, past or present or anything like that. I will come to a question that does relate to that. But just anyone on your mind that I've been shows them, I really want to wrestle them, but I've not had the chance to yet, the opportunity.
So Benjamin Harland, right? Me and him have been scheduled to wrestle each other God knows how many times.
Yeah.
But every time it's just like fallen through and it's just not happened. Like I've wrestled Jack, God knows I've wrestled Jack once, I say that. Like but every time me and Ben are scheduled to wrestle, we just never do.
Yeah.
And like every time I'm like, who would I wrestle? I'm like, we need to wrestle at some point. It needs to happen.
Do you reckon it's like it's not coincidence or anything? Do you think it's maybe just him talking to the promoters like, nah. I just don't want to hurt her.
If it was, I'd cry.
I'm just planting seeds. I'm joking. I love that too. They're both awesome lads. I really like
they're
them.
amazing. I love them.
They're really good. Really happy. They're smashing it, especially like the success they had last year, and they're just continuing it. Really good lads.
I'm so proud of them. I love them so much. Like every time like they'll get booked for something good or like something's happening, like I'll get a text from Jack and he's like, oh my god, you'll never guess what, like this has happened. And I'm like, oh my god, yay. Or like he'd get booked this and he's like, oh my god, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. And they were ring for Progress last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. And there was a spot where I can't remember the exacts of it, but one of them like hit Jack or something, or like used him as a weapon or something like that, right? And I was in the bath at Jack's house, right? I was in the bath, locked the door, and then he was watching wrestling on his laptop.
Yeah.
And then I hear a little knock at the door, and I'm like, "You're right." And he's like, "Can I come in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm in the bath. Like, leave me alone for 5 minutes, please." So door gets unlocked anyway, and then like I'm in the bath and I'm like, what's up? And he's like, I'm on the network, and like it's this little clip, and he's like so proud of him, like when like a small child does something and like the proudest person ever. That was literally his face, and he was just showing me this clip whilst I was in the bath, and I was like a little part of me was like, oh my god, you are one of the cutest people ever.
Yeah.
But I was like my heart, I was like, oh my god. like how proud he was of himself, and I was like, I am really proud of you. Like I was
Them
a little
two,
bit
they
annoyed
love
because I was just
wrestling.
trying to have a bath, but
Yeah.
they love it so much.
No,
I'm so proud of
I
them.
can't praise them enough. Great guess. I like what they put on in the ring. I think they just both got chemistry. It's really funny that they actually didn't like each other, if I remember correctly. At first, like one thought he was a dick or something, and yeah, it's just I thought, oh wow, you two
Yeah,
really click as a tag team, which yeah, opposites attract. The best thing.
clearly.
But that's awesome, awesome. One last question, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. Fun question. You don't have to discuss wrestling.
God.
So thumbs up to that one if you're bored of talking about wrestling. 3 dream dinner guests for your dream party, dead or alive, fiction, non-fiction. It could be anyone, could be the neighbor, could be someone from school, anyone.
Anyone in the world?
3 guests, dead or alive.
3.
Go.
Okay. Oh God. This is actually really hard. I would probably have Paris Hilton, just because
Never been fucking
I love
said.
her. I love her. I feel like she's an icon. I love her.
She's grown on me. I hate to admit that.
I'd have Jojo Siwa, but not like girly big bow Jojo Siwa. I'd have dream guest on my podcast, Jojo
Who?
Siwa.
Jojo who?
Like Jojo Siwa. She used to be on Dance Mums, but now she's going through her bad girl Miley Cyrus phase.
I'm not gonna pause it. I'm just gonna have to like
You
reevaluate
should.
how old I am.
And there's this one clip of her, and like this like interviewer person's like, "Oh, who's the dream guest on your podcast?" And she goes, "Dream guest on my podcast." Let's spice things up a bit. One of my exes.
Do you know what? You
So
should
I'd
do
have
promos
her
of that
on.
voice, by the way. There you go.
I should do.
Arizona Island. Like, what the fuck I'm doing now? I don't know what you sound like.
My impression of her is probably really bad as well, though, so it's fine.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Um,
I'll hold you to it. I'll come back to you on that one. I will have that. Number 3. Let's do this.
and number three.
Let's see if we can go for a hat trick. By the way, none of these people have been said so far. So let's see if you can complete this.
Oh,
It rarely happens.
This probably is gonna happen. I probably have a Trish Stratus.
She's been
It's
said,
probably
but
been
tell
said
me
before.
why though.
She's
At
been
least
said before
I
because
don't think it's been said.
she's just one of them people that I grew up watching,
Yeah.
and I'm like in my head, she's one of the coolest people ever. And I saw a pink cowboy hat in like a Halloween shop, and I was like, oh my God, I should get a pink cowboy hat. And I was like, no, because Trish, I was like, no, that's already been done, Kai, and you know that's already been done. And I was like, I don't know, guys.
Do it. Just fucking do it.
Exactly. But yes, in my head, she is just like iconic. I love her so much.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Legend.
The other one I'm definitely have to Google after this interview. I had to Google like the Fight Factory because I want to promote it. If you could tell the listeners out there where can they find information on this wrestling school?
Oh God. So I think for everything, they're just Fight Factory Wrestling. Google Fight Factory Wrestling, Lincoln. They're in Lincoln somewhere. They've moved schools about 6 times. I couldn't tell you exactly where it is now, but yeah, just Fight Factory Wrestling on everything. I think it is. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Listeners find you on social media
Find me
with your career and when you next go to Holland and make your way down to the south and who knows outside of Europe and not Europe, England.
Oh God. So on Twitter and Instagram, I think it's just at Kiya Wrestler.
Mhm.
On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Kiya Wrestler. I think that's all I have. I think, yeah.
Wicked. What have you got lined up next? If anything you want to promote, anything you want to say, because we are now at the end of this interview.
I'm gonna have to look at my calendar because I'm really bad at dates. It's not good.
Right.
I just got announced today actually on the 18th. I'm at off the page, yeah, in a 6-man, and then 25th I am at Future Wrestling. Match hasn't been announced yet, but I'm on the poster, so I'm assuming I'm turning up. And then I'm on holiday, so unlucky
Nice,
if you want to
nice.
catch me after that.
I'll send the listeners your way to your social media handles, which I'll put in the description below. They can keep up to date with your upcoming shows, see who you are going to be wrestling end of the month, and see what you got lined up when you're back from holiday for the rest of the year. So enjoy your holiday and enjoy the rest of your weekend. For listeners out there, enjoy the rest of your week. If you can all like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on my social media handles, description below. That'll be brilliant. But for now, everyone, take care. Peace. And shout out to
With the fly,
Pascal.
man.